When you think of measurement at major enterprises, it can't be an afterthought. And so it's a great question, right? How do you build it into the actual operating rhythm of how people plan and execute their marketing campaigns versus something that's reactive, an afterthought, something that you're scrambling to get answers with long after the campaigns or the executions are dead and buried. I think for us, it really starts with two things. Number one, you have to be able to actually measure what's important for the brand, and that's incremental growth. Everything else is a nice to have, it's a proxy. It doesn't actually speak to the language of finance or actually growing the P&L for the business. And so measure what matters for your brand, for your business, that's part one. Part two is it should start at the very beginning, and I think if you look at brands and agencies that are doing this very well, measurement is built into the campaign briefs. People are walking in thinking about what they're going to execute, the data they're going to collect around it, and then the measurement that they're going to put next to it to understand, did this work, did this drive my business forward, or do we have to kind of rethink the approach?
Mike, the velocity of AI has naturally meant faster campaigns and faster optimization. How does measurement need to evolve to keep up with that pace?
Yeah, I think two or three things to think about to really frame the answer to this. I think number one, we're seeing for the first time a really big shift from measurement away from the sell side to the buy side. And what that means is the analytics, all of the analytical horsepower, if you will, it's like an arms race almost, on targeting, on measurement, that are built into the major publishers and platforms. Brands are now looking around and saying, I don't really think this is delivering me insights that drive my business. I need to take more control of measurement myself. And so you have kind of two sides of a coin. One is faster agentic media buying, auto-optimizing campaigns off of real-time data and signals that are sitting within these media platforms and publishers. And you have brands saying, that's not really driving incremental growth the way I need it. So I need measurement to sit over here, and it's been too slow, too expensive to aggregate to actually inform that way more real-time ad buying. And so where Mutinex comes in is essentially the work smarter, not harder. We're taking an agentic approach to give advertisers the view of incrementality that they can plug back into the buying platforms to drive growth in real time.
So, Mike, the idea that brands have more data at their fingertips than ever, but also less clarity in terms of figuring out what that means, seems to be a perennial
huge problem.
Huge problem. Exactly. How do you help them translate that raw data into actionable insight then?
Yeah, I think I'm going to push on the more data than ever, just to contextualize it a little bit. I think more data right now for most advertisers means more conflicting results, right? You have lots of different perspectives that are all trying to tell you a point of view on the same thing, and reconciling and understand which one is right or which one should I use for which situation has become a huge problem. So it's not a lack of data, or even in a lot of cases a lack of measurement. It's the fact that this stuff either doesn't articulate what the business really cares about, or these things conflict. And I think that's one of the big dynamics driving brands to essentially invest in their own measurement capabilities. It's to make sense of the sprawl of information and perspectives that you see from across the industry. So number one, I think we're coming in to essentially be that one single source of truth for these marketers who are getting told by Google, by Meta, by name the platform that your ROI is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever the number is, and they just patently understand that that's not true, right? Like that's not what they see in their business. That's not a defensible answer to bring to the rest of the organization.
Looking at different channels and platforms, which are the easiest ones to measure, and which ones remain opaque despite the advances in analytics that you just touched on? Yeah,
I think I'm going to bucket it into three groups. Broad reach is the first group. Broad reach is actually easy to measure because the data is there, the data has the variation, what you're running, when you're running it, who you're running it against is all readily accessible, and we can bring that into the system. Right, and the more variation you have, the more experience the model can look at and essentially say, got it, this is working or not working. And so I think linear TV being like one of the best examples of that, relatively easy to measure. Next up, I would say broad reach that has data that leaves something to be desired. That's something like out-of-home sponsorships, right? There's a lot of work there to translate investments that brands are making and the exposure that these installments and that these activations drive. But getting the variation of like every day it's different, every week it's different, depending on traffic patterns, depending on viewership of a given event. I think we need to do a better job of articulating the actual media delivery or media delivery equivalency of those types of executions. The third bucket, which is what everyone typically thinks of, is like all of your performance, all of your digital, where you have huge levels of targeting, you have real-time intent signals, and while there's a lot of data behind it, what makes it hard to tease apart the incremental impact is with really good intent signals and with really good audience data, you might just be finding people that are going to show up and buy anyway. Right, so how do you actually tease apart what is a very effective targeting algorithm versus is this media, is this message, is this creative actually driving buying intent above and beyond what we would have gotten otherwise?
Mike, we've all heard media buyers variously say at times, if I can't measure it, I can't buy it. But I wanted to get a sense from you what the relationship is between good measurement and actual business outcomes. Are they always connected?
I think so. I mean, they should be, right? Because at the end of the day, a media execution, a marketing execution, is designed to essentially get a message to a consumer group to build, insatiable demand for whatever product or service the advertiser is trying to sell, right? And I think what we're increasingly seeing is interest from publishers to essentially skip the middleman, if you will, and get way more ingrained into what the intent and what the goals of the brand are so that they can best represent that activity on their platform with their users. And I think that's the right way to head, right? Like at the end of the day, advertising is to grow businesses. We want to sell shit, right? And we want to do that in a way that isn't intrusive, in a way that is frictionless, right? That enables value across the entire chain. And I think at the end of it, it comes down to being oriented to that business outcome.